It's time for jokes, laughs, and improv. Up next, one of Saturday Night Live's favorites, an Atlanta native, Kenan Thompson, takes the stage in front of a live audience before a different kind of gig. He's trading comedy skits for books. Kenan debuts his new children's book, and the audience gets in on the fun.
I don't really have a question. I have a joke.
She has a joke.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Plus, making SNL history. Kenan takes us back to how he got his start and shares what it takes to be the longest-running cast member. Did you plan to stay that long?
Not at all. I didn't even think I'd get the job. You know, we talked about it when we were on Nickelodeon and stuff. We were like, you know, all that was the sketch comedy show as well, so it was similar. We used to say we were the SNL for kids, but I never thought it would be, you know, a real possibility. I hoped so, but yeah.
Let's go one-on-one.
Who are the artists on your playlist?
Because I'm from Georgia, I have to say, y'all got married in Ringo, Georgia?
We got married in Ringo.
You're pretty good. You're trying to get into my secrets.
Atlanta News First presents Monica Pearson, One-on-One.
Good evening. My guest tonight is a mainstay on Saturday Night Live. Kenan Thompson has been a member of the cast since 2003. No one else has lasted that long on this comedy mainstay. But he's not just known for SNL. A younger generation knows him as Tiny Diamond from the Trolls franchise, Greedy Smurf from the Smurfs films, and there's Kenan and Kel, Good Burger, The Mighty Ducks 2 and 3. So it was no surprise that adults and children turned out to meet him and share jokes when he came home to Atlanta to read his new children's book, The Unfunny Bunny, at the Central Public Library. That's where I went one-on-one with him before and during the event that started out with something missing.
Thank you. We're gonna take our time. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Something is missing.
Thank you very much. You need the book?
I need a book.
I knew I should have brought the book. I said that. I was like, should I bring the book? Because the book is back there.
We need the
What's
book.
up, y'all? Yeah, we need the book. So we can read it. That's why we came here. I wrote a book.
It's about a bunny who wants to be funny but is unfunny. I'll let Kenan start the story.
Bunny is excited for tomorrow. His ears twitch and his toes tap as he sets out his clothes, brushes his teeth, and hops into bed. Tomorrow is Bunny's first day of school, and everything is going to be perfect. The next morning, Bunny springs out of bed and starts trying on different personalities the way other kids try on different outfits. I'm a cool bunny. No. I'm a sporty bunny. No. I'm a funny bunny?
Yeah.
Boom! Yeah. Bunny confidently heads to school and starts telling jokes to his whole class. It does not go well. What does a shoe like to eat for dinner? Spaghetti and feet balls. Why are socks so good at golf? Because there's always a hole in one. No one is laughing. Bunny starts feeling nervous, but he tries again anyway. Why should you buy a boat? Many of them are on sale. Come on. Bunny frantically calls out joke after joke. What town does milk come from? Milwaukee. What do you call a snowman at the beach? A puddle. No one is laughing.
The Unfunny Bunny gets some help from a classmate, Hedgehog, who reminds Bunny that telling jokes isn't easy and tells him practice makes perfect. He offers to help write his jokes. They start at recess, continue after school, and for several weeks practice telling jokes in the mirror to each other and in front of family.
Not everybody laughs, but that's okay. Bunny's timing and punchlines get better and better. Even better, he's having so much fun with Hedgehog. Finally, Bunny is ready. At school the next day, he straightens his tie, clears his throat, and tries out the latest joke that he and Hedgehog had worked so hard on. Why wasn't the cow at home? She moved. Everybody is finally laughing. Okay, not cricket, but whatever. You're a funny bunny, Hedgehog says, and you're a great friend, says Bunny. Many joke-telling practices later, Bunny is on stage and on top of the world. He loves telling jokes, but he also knows it takes practice. He loves making himself laugh, and he loves doing it with his friend who is one hilarious hedgehog. He also doesn't mind if sometimes he's a little unfunny. And that's our story. And then there's jokes. A whole page of jokes for y'all to eat up. Let's read them. Why should you never trust a man standing there under a tree? He probably shady. How do you make a cat fly? With a catapult. Why did no one want to play with the lemon? Because he's a sour loser. Yeah. What's a snake's favorite soda? Coca-Cobra.
You got to remember where you are.
No, Coca-Cobra. What hotel do ants prefer? The Hilton. Come on.
So the jokes, where did they come from? Did you go to kids and ask them for jokes?
Probably. My partner and I write a lot of things on SNL with Brian Tucker. We wrote this book together, and he has 2 daughters as well. So I'm sure he gets a lot of his, senses of humor from being a dad and probably from the darndest things that kids say.
But the book is more than about telling jokes. When One-on-One continues why Kenan wrote the book and what he hopes children will learn from it. Plus, children in the audience tell jokes to Kenan.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why? That's exactly right.
And later, how he got his start on SNL and what keeps him coming back every season.
Monica Pearson One-on-One is sponsored by Montlick Injury Attorneys.
It was a multi-generational audience at the library for the book reading. Kenan hopes the children and parents pay attention to the life lessons in the book and not just the jokes.
But the book is more than about being silly. It's also about not giving up.
True. Persistence.
And?
Yeah. Kind of appreciating your friends, you know what I mean? Because he has a friend that comes along and helps him kind of balance what he thinks is funny and what everybody else might find funny, kind of thing. And it's nice to be able to bounce your ideas off of other people. So collaboration is important, but yeah, it's all about, try again, but don't be, afraid to put yourself out there in an expressive kind of a manner. You never know. If that's your calling, then you should probably just follow it and not be afraid of it.
But he finds a friend in his classroom.
Yes.
But he was a little intimidated at first about making friends. This is about friendships too.
Absolutely. And it's about, like I said, once again, like just being open, being open to a friend to come into your life like that, not just being, all turtle shelly in your life. I'm a bit introverted myself.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, a little bit. But I'm definitely, open to help, from the universe. You can't just do everything by yourself. I know all y'all parents know you lean on your village.
How do you come up with a joke? I mean, what's the difference between you doing a joke and that little girl right there coming up with the joke?
Honestly, there is no difference. The difference is how the audience responds to what you're saying, honestly. So this isn't going as well for her. So we need to do better. We need to speak to her. Come on down and you want some chips? What you want? We got chips like she want to come up here. I know. You want to read the book? Is that a he or a she? Let me stop calling it. It's a girl. It's a girl. Come on, baby. You good? You can stand up. She can crawl around on the floor if she wants to. Come on, this is the beautiful thing about the Fulton County Library, especially in the children's section. It's open space, so feel free to let the child loose because looks like she's stretching. She want to be loose from you.
Okay, folks, did you see what just happened?
Yes.
Improv.
Yes.
How do you do that?
I like to stay in the moment. You know, I like being myself, and I don't like getting lost in the work, even though I take the work very seriously. I'm a really like serious thespian. I pride myself on being a professional and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't want to just work all the time. You know, like I've been working for 30 plus years, you know, in the business or whatever. So if I spent all that time just stressing and stuff, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have any happy memories. So I just like being myself and engaging in real moments when they happen, because you can't write these things, you know? You can't just write a baby that's upset.
And she quieted down, so
Yeah,
maybe
she's
she got
chilling.
the message.
She hears it. She hears the tone. She know we talking about her. Yeah, we are. We talk about you, sugar booger.
How do you know that a joke won't make it?
When
Other
you-
than people not laughing, but I mean, seriously.
I was just about to say it's the silence, honestly. And we, you know, the silence is deafening, you know, like that'll definitely tell you. But also groans, you can see it on people's faces. You can hear audible reactions, whether they enjoyed something or, you know, they felt slightly offended by something or something that's pushing limits. And, you know, it's basically on, you know, I guess the platform to figure out if they're going to censor that or cut it. But a lot of the time it is just genuine. Is the audience feeling it or not?
When you're, say, walking around and folk come up and they recognize you,
Yeah.
they want you to be funny.
Yeah, they do. And I can't blame them, but I also can't not be myself. So sometimes, you know, funny things happen and, you know, it scratches that itch for them. And other times I probably dropped the ball for them just being myself, because I'm not just a clown, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just a person, and I'm a mellow fellow, you know?
A fellow many of the young people in the audience wanted to see if they could make laugh.
I don't really have a question. I have
Perfect.
a joke.
She has a joke.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Owl.
Owl who?
Hoo hoo.
Bravo. Who she say? Cause there's an owl at the door. I love it.
We
I
got
love it.
another little one right
Yeah.
there.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
What's it? Yeah, what's your question, baby?
I have a joke.
Okay, have a joke. Tell it.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
Why?
Because he ate all the chicken butt.
That's exactly right. Y'all better be writing these down.
I got a question.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
question.
Can you sing What's Up With That?
Ooh wee. What's up with that? What's up with that? Ooh wee. What's up with that? What's up with that? What's up? Yeah, that was good. In the Mighty Ducks jersey. Yeah, get him. Go ahead. That's a great jersey.
Are they gonna be a Mighty Ducks 4 movie?
Is there gonna be a Mighty Ducks 4? I tried to put it out into the universe and tell them people that they need to get on and do it. I went to a Mighty Ducks game recently and I held up the script, so they thought that, you know, it was actually happening. But hopefully that'll turn into a real manifestation. We're in the talks for sure. I mean, I think they should. It's a no-brainer.
We got a little fella right here and
What's
then a
up?
lady up there.
Little fella.
Did you put the Burger Time poster up in his room on purpose?
Because of what movie, maybe? They saying it.
Good
Listen.
Burger.
Yes. I'm glad you caught that. I was wondering if people were actually going to catch that. Yeah, I think that was a little shout out from Tony,
And
our
we got-
illustrator. Yes.
What inspired you to write the book?
What inspired me to write it? I mean, I wanted to do something that my girls can be proud of. They're 7 and 11, so they're still, you know, children in my mind. You know, they're not just my children. They're of the world of being in elementary life, basically. even though my big girl just started middle school and she don't talk to us no more, but it's all good. But yeah, I wanted something for my family to enjoy too, that came from, from me, basically, that's not just on television or, on recordings or movies and things that are further away from us than us sitting around and, reading a book together. So,
Do you let your kids watch Saturday Night Live?
no, but they find it anyway. They find little clips here and there that, maybe their friends will share with them. Or, I'll show them, things that I think are appropriate kind of stuff. But yeah, number one, they're supposed to be in bed by that point. And yeah, it's an adult show. So you have to be careful.
Up next, questions about his career choice, and his mother gets into the act. Then later, it's all about Saturday Night Live, how he got there, and how he's managed to stay longer than anyone else. That's when One-on-One continues. Atlanta is home for Kenan. He was born in Columbus, Ohio, but grew up in Atlanta. He attended Tri-Cities High School. Famous graduates include Andre 3000 and Big Boy of Outkast fame, and Candy Burris and Tiny Harris of Escape. Kenan graduated in 1996, and some of his classmates from Tri-Cities attended the library event.
I know that you went to Tri-Cities.
Class of 96.
And there are some Tri-City folks in the audience.
Let's go. Shout them out. Good to see you.
Family members were there too, including his mother, Elizabeth, who was pulled into the conversation by Kenan to help answer a question.
As an author and a parent, any advice or speak to literacy, the importance of literacy and parent engagement?
Yeah, just to try to, I tried to put something out in the world that helps to engage in that, to make it a fun activity to get together and read something kind of thing. But I would encourage people to just find what you like about reading in general. Find the subject matters that you enjoy. Ask about it, ask suggestions of books. You're in the library right now, so these are the people to ask about books. Like what kind of authors or, who should I be kind of paying attention to or whatever. But, history is always a good starting place. I encourage people to kind of find your draw early. My mom reads a ton. Ma, what is it about reading for you that allows for you to read so much? Because you still read books to this day, and I would think that you have learned enough. So what is it about reading?
And forgotten. However, I love words. I love seeing words. I love to feel I love the smell of books. I love to hold the book in my hand. Yes, I have the digital version. Sometimes for one book, I'll have 3 versions of one book. So even the audio. In fact, for your book, I needed to hear you read your own book,
but even
though I know you.
Is it the journey that you like going on with books? I do
like the journey. I like it when I get to laugh out loud. I like it when I get to cry because I get all emotional.
Yeah.
And I just like escaping into a story. It's wonderful.
So there, that's one perspective. I would just encourage you to find your perspective about reading, because it really is, one of the greater things I think you can do is educate yourself. Yeah, go ahead.
So, why did you choose your career choice?
Why did I choose my career choice? Thank you very much. It's kind of something that has just been with me my whole life. I started out doing plays. I did the Gingerbread Man in kindergarten, and, I was a gingerbread man. I wasn't like a tree or a chair. I was a gingerbread man. So I got to run around and see what it was like to, just get up in front of people and then have them, laugh along with you as opposed to at you and stuff like that. And then, I did all the extracurriculars as well growing up, playing piano and playing sports and stuff like that. But acting kind of always stuck with me. And then I did a commercial when I was like 11, and that was like my first real job. And they paid me $800. So I was like, I think I want to do this. Yep. Hi.
I got a question.
Yeah.
And
and I got
A
the
joke.
shirt that I want to show you.
A shirt?
A shirt.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I how many movies have you made?
How many movies have I made? I feel like that's an IMDb question. And I'm not saying this to be conceited. I don't know. We can count them if you want, but probably 30-ish, 20, 30-ish, maybe something like that.
And the number of TV shows that you've done.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I've been working
Oh,
on
I love the
You got a
shirt.
carrot t-shirt. Oh, I like it. That's good, man.
His IMDb, that's his Internet Movie Database page, is enormous and includes Nickelodeon, where he started as a teenager in All That with Kel Mitchell. They also created a sitcom, Kenan and Kel, and the comedy films Good Burger.
I hope the answer is yes to this, but do you still communicate with Kel Mitchell?
Do I still communicate with Kel Mitchell? Yes. We just announced we're doing a movie soon called Kenan and Kel Meet Frankenstein.
Oh, thank you.
We also did our Good Burger sequel a couple years ago and stuff like that. But yeah, I just saw him a couple days ago. He's my dear friend and brother. And it's been a joy to have a partner like that that'll always kind of be there. And it's like comfortable shoes whenever we work together because the dynamic is established so well. He's very good at what he does and I do what I do and it works well. So we're looking forward to that and I hope y'all go see it and Good Burger 3 when it comes back around and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Kenan hosted the Emmy Awards in 2022 and has been nominated for several. He won an Emmy for Outstanding Original Music and Lyrics in 2018 for co-writing the song Come Back Barack for Saturday Night Live. Coming up, why getting hired at Saturday Night Live was not so easy for Kenan Thompson. Plus, he's spilling the tea on who his favorite and least favorite celebrity was to work with on Saturday Night Live.
Ooh. We spilling tea. It's not that she's my least favorite. She just had the toughest experience that I've noticed, and I don't want to just say her name, but it rhymes with.
Kenan Thompson joined Saturday Night Live in 2003 and is still on the show, the longest tenured cast member.
Crazy, right?
It is crazy. Did you plan to stay that long?
Not at all. I didn't even think I'd get the job. I wanted to, and we talked about it when we were on Nickelodeon and stuff. We were like, all that was the sketch comedy show as well, so it was similar. We used to say we were the SNL for kids, but I never thought it would be, a real possibility. I hoped so, but yeah. So to actually get the call to audition finally, because I was sending my tape for a couple years before they actually let me audition, kind of thing, and then to get the job and then to keep the job, yeah, it's been crazy.
Then there was the learning curve in the beginning.
It was very tough because I had the writing responsibility for the first time in life. So when you get there, you're supposed to submit at least 2 pieces a week kind of thing. And I wasn't used to that. I was just used to, being a performer. Like on Nickelodeon, they wrote for us and they would tell us oh, it's a superhero that's lactose intolerant. And it was up to us to kind of put a voice on it and stuff like that. So that's what I was used to. I wasn't used to trying to just come up with things. And then it was very intimidating because now I'm dealing with, a history. It was season 29 when I got there. So it's 29 seasons of the most brilliant comedy that anybody's ever done. So yeah, it was very intimidating at first. And I didn't really get my first idea that was all mine on the show until my 5th season, which was Scared Straight. So, luckily I was a strong enough performer to service the show in other ways. And I was able to kind of, have the time to just develop, my writing voice, basically.
But how have you been able to keep it? Why do you think? What is that magic thing about you?
I mean, without tooting my own horn, I am good at it. I'm a performer. You've been watching me since I was 10 years old. Monica, we've known each other since I was 10.
Yeah, I know.
So that's one thing. And I don't know, I think I'm a good teammate. I'm an ensemble-minded kind of person, growing up in the theater and stuff like that. So I have a helpful kind of a presence kind of thing. And yeah, I don't know, they just keep asking me back and then the time just keeps passing along. And then
So what's the good or bad of it? What's the good and what's the bad?
The good is the consistency, the dependable work. It's tough to come by as an actor, so I can stay in one place kind of thing, especially when you have a family to look out for. It's tough to unroot people all the time just because of my dreams, you know, kind of thing. It's an amazing show. I've met some amazing people. I'm very close to some amazing people. New York City, like all those things are good. The bad of it is a stressful job, you know? It's not like it's an automatic because it's a brand new show every single week and it's live, you know? So that makes it, you know, stressful, emotional, stuff like that. Like if there was a bad, but those aren't necessarily super bad, but it takes its toll on certain people. And, you know, they're my friends, so it's tough to watch them go through that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we kind of all signed up for it. But nobody really knows that it's gonna be that much pressure. And then a lot of the pressure is kind of self-inflicted too, so try to balance that out with people. But besides that, you know, it's a lot of positives.
He's known for his impressions including Whoopi Goldberg, Al Sharpton, Steve Harvey, and Charles Barkley.
I'm Ernie Johnson here with Kenny the Jet Smith, Sir Charles Barkley, and Coach Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, Ernie, man, that game was miraculous. It was spectacular. I mean, one could call it miraculous.
All right, well, let's move on to the highlights from tonight.
I like Michigan toughness, but first, can I say something real quick, Ernie?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna choose my words like real careful here. The Artemis 2 space mission is a waste of money. Now, I respect the astronauts, but they ain't even going to the moon. They just flying around the moon. What's the point of that? It's like telling your kids you're going to Disney World and then you just take them to Goofy Lot D and go home. I mean, the mission is wrong and we need to end it.
So who's called you up and told you they didn't like it?
I mean, Steve gave me a tough time in the beginning only because he takes himself very seriously.
Steve Harvey does?
He takes himself very seriously. And it was all in good fun, but he definitely comes from a world where he had to pay homage to the people that came before him kind of thing. So you're just making sure that there was a respect line there. And it definitely was, because I've known Steve, you know, a long time as well. We did, you know, the Steve Harvey show a few times, me and Kel. So to me, it was always in good fun, but you know, he was getting phone calls from his friends like, yo, he's nailing you on that show. So, you know, he had to give me a call, but it's, you know, it's all been in good fun, and he's definitely been a mentor, you know, as far as like giving me outlook advice on the industry. You know, he was definitely like, there's people that, you know, are a little more discerning from job to job as far as like, do they just take whatever job comes their way? He's very much the latter. He kind of just, you know, picks up the phone and will do it. And I feel him on that, you know what I mean? Like, if they're calling you, it's probably to your benefit kind of thing. It's a compliment or whatever, and it's an opportunity, look at it that way kind of thing, as opposed to like, should I do this Trident commercial or not? You know what I mean? Like, just do it, and also do everything else.
And in Super Bowl, you did the with Govey pill commercial.
Once daily pill. So y'all know.
So you know, I gotta ask, you using it?
I don't use it, no. I'm just a spokesperson, but I think it's definitely something that people should be aware of if they need it. You know, there's people that, you know, really need a boost as far as getting to a healthy way where they can start exercising, in my opinion. So, I don't mind broadcasting that news.
I saw you.
Yeah.
Over the years, he shared skits with big hitters. He observed Eddie Murphy on a Scared Straight skit on the SNL season 50 celebration.
I just watched his demeanor, you know, like he turns it on and turns it off. And I think that's a way to kind of save yourself, you know, from having to always be this guy. And like, I feel like when you're always this guy and the joke teller, that can stress you out when you're at home and nobody's looking, because then you get in your head, it's like, was I good? Do people still like, you know what I mean? Like all this questioning of yourself. But Eddie's knowledge of self is really solidified. And he doesn't have a problem like just being chill when he's off kind of thing. And like how people react to that doesn't disturb him. It's not like he needs to turn it back on because he thinks that that's what they expect from him kind of thing. And I respected that, you know, like it's definitely weird to witness because you're so used to seeing him doing such phenomenal performance-y, high energy things or whatever. And to see him just kind of chill makes you think it's more melancholy than it is, but he's just chilling, you know what I mean? He's a father of 10. So yeah, he's tired.
What do you do to pull away from after Saturday Night Live?
I just jump right back into dad mode, you know? And like that'll depart me from anything pretentious really quickly because they want to just do what they want to do. It had nothing to do with, you know, the business or none of that. They want to go play dates or museums or like real life comes flooding back like that. So like, that's why I'm always, you know, really quick to just jump back and be around them.
But when people recognize you, like I can remember when my daughter was little and I'd go to her basketball games and people would come up and start talking and I would always have to say, I'm here for my child.
Yeah, give me a little space, yeah.
How do you handle that?
I get very territorial, so sometimes it doesn't go great, but usually a lot of people can understand. I'm like, hey, I'm with my kids, and they'll just, you know, leave it at that, you know, because people get so trigger happy with cameras and selfie opportunity moments that they think, you know, should happen in that time, and they don't see what I'm actually doing. You know what I mean? They probably don't know what my daughters look like, you know what I mean? They don't know, or they don't identify me as being a parent kind of thing. They just know me as, you know, their friend from TV, which is fine, but yeah, I try to cordially, nicely say, you know, this is my time with my kids, if you don't mind, kind of thing. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't, and I've gotten to the point where if it doesn't, I don't really care because it's their time, you know what I mean? It's their one and only childhood, and I don't want to distract from that.
Hear who his favorite and least favorite celebrity was to work with on Saturday Night Live. And later, closing the gap on the digital divide. I'll introduce you to the man behind the mission to get everyone connected with technology through digital literacy and free computers.
I always say, if you're not connected, you may as well be on the moon. COVID expedited what we should have been doing all along. So it's no longer a nice to have, it is how you're gonna communicate with the world.
Monica Pearson, ladies and gentlemen. I met Miss Pearson when I was 10 years old because I was doing a special for the zoo for the dinosaur exhibit. And we did these little like interstitial things on the news where we would go to the zoo and shoot all this stuff or whatever, and then they would show it. So that was me actually meeting her in person, but you have been in my life all my life, every single day. You know, it's such a dedicated, so for you to do this is beyond a blessing, and I can't thank you enough. It's so good to see you always.
Thank you.
You're such an Atlanta staple, so we want you to know we love you very much. Yes.
It was obvious at the Unfunny Bunny book reading, Kenan was having as much fun as the audience members.
Who's your favorite celebrity you've worked with and your least favorite, if you want to?
Ooh. We spilling tea. I mean, favorites, you know, whoever's down to like play the game, you know what I'm saying? Because it's such a hard week. You know, when egos get in the way, it's very frustrating. So, you know, the Tom Hanks of the world is one of the greatest performers and most generous people kind of on the planet. So I like those examples. My least favorite, I guess, are, you know, anybody that's mean or just doesn't understand what they're doing there kind of thing. And it's not that she's my least favorite. She just had the toughest experience that I've noticed. And I don't want to just say her name, but it rhymes with Barris Milton. You can put it together from that, yeah.
So because you've been on Saturday Night Live so long, why did you decide? You had written a book.
Yes.
basically was about you.
Yeah.
This is a kid's book. Why a children's book and why now?
Children's books are fun. You know, I do a lot of family-friendly projects, and this is what I like to see. I like to see all ages. I like to see generations of families together on the same kind of thing, enjoying themselves, you know? Like, I mean, yes, we have sports and we have church and we have things, but why not, you know, add to it? So I'm just trying to add to the fun that families can have.
So with these jokes, did you try them out on your daughters, and what was their reaction?
I did. They loved it, you know, because they could tell. It's, you know, they're not the most brilliant jokes in the world. They're just jokes to lighten the mood, and it's just a well-intentioned thing that dads do. You know, it's kind of like, oh, if you're down, let's go have some ice cream or whatever. So maybe this is the healthier way.
Kenan Thompson ended the evening taking pictures and joking with fans. How has he stayed so grounded with his success when others have lost their way?
Yeah, they tend to, you know, number one, forget where they're coming from, you know, and it seems like number two, they get detached, you know, from their people kind of thing. I stayed very attached to my family, to, you know, Atlanta, you know, even just rooting for the Falcons from afar, or rooting for the Braves and Hawks, you know, like whatever it is, like I always have Atlanta on the forefront of my personality, basically, because, you know, that's my knowledge of self, is that, you know, this is my original foundational kind of roots, you know?
And then I'm sure your parents had a way of reminding you.
That's what I'm saying, like my family, yeah, they just keep me like very, very on a reality kind of a basis, because the struggle is real, you know what I mean? And like it's affecting a lot of people, and all that stuff is not lost on me, and it keeps me with a great perspective of how blessed and lucky I have been.
Get your copy of Unfunny Bunny available wherever books are sold. Battling the digital divide. Up next, what a local nonprofit is doing to close the gap and connect those in need with computers, digital literacy, and more.
Everyone sees what's happening with AI, and it's not gonna go anywhere. You know, we went from horse carriages to electric cars, and that is a thing we had to adapt to, because believe me, there were still people that wanted to stay on the horse. You know, they thought it was something that was never gonna go away.
Most of us take our computers and our internet service for granted, unaware that there is such a thing as a digital divide. That's defined as the gap between people who don't have and those who do have access to information systems and communications technology. Richard Hicks is working to close the gap as CEO of Inspire EDU. He is someone you should know.
This is the Lip Zone, where we do Classroom Training 1 and then there's Classroom Training 2. And so the learners are learning how to get to Microsoft 365 Copilot and learning how to use those resources. So we'll teach them how to sign up and how to get access to that resource, and even what good best practices they can use around that. They're gonna need that in order to be able to get to some of the other pieces that are needed for them to be able to move forward. They've got to know the software.
I see a lot of seniors in here today.
Yeah. So a lot of seniors, they know how important digital skills is. A lot of the things around Social Security and these government benefits are going to start sending them online. You don't go in there and just take an appointment number anymore. You got to go make your appointment online in order for the Social Security office to see you. Even the application, as you're looking to fill out, you're going to be driven online now. Most of the time, they're not going to give it to you to write down. And so a lot of the seniors are seeing this, and they want to be able to make sure that they're educating themselves on how to get connected to it.
Connecting to the community and being a resource to the community are ingrained in Richard Hicks through his family and their historic farm in Milledgeville. Give me the history of how long your parents have owned that property in Milledgeville.
Oh, wow. That property goes all the way back to slave times, over 200 years. The Hickses were the slaves of the Longinos and the Littles. And that farm was gifted to the Hickses by the slave owners. And my great aunt would always walk with us and tell us the story of how the family was extended more than just in our central family around the Hickses. It was everyone. The Longinos and the Hickses shared a common bond, and they were able to really connect. And when it was mentioned about passing that land on to the Hickses, I think a lot of the family didn't really believe it because there was no rights. It was not anything that anyone could force to happen. And so the family was gifted that property. It was written. I have one of the original deeds for that, and it has been a beacon for us to be able to share our love for the community, but also be able to feed everybody, because the Hickses were known for feeding a lot of people, and that farm did everything from syrup to making moonshine to planting vegetables, and it always has a warm feel. When I go down there, I feel the peace of how that farm embraced the community.
It's kind of a full circle moment for you. You started farming and you're still farming.
Now we're doing the same thing. We're feeding people through technology. We're making sure that the folks have the technology, the skills, the training, so that when they go out into the world, they're full of, knowledge that could help them. And, what they do with it, we want them to take it forward. But at least we've done our part to make sure that we've had our open door, fed them well, and they can go out with a new look on life.
And you talked about some of your clients being unsheltered. And why is there the need for them to be connected through technology?
We've evolved in places that we have to learn how to adapt. We went from horse carriages to electric cars, and that is a thing we had to adapt to, because believe me, there were still people that wanted to stay on the horse. They thought it was something that was never going to go away. But it's now at a point where you have to embrace it. You cannot stay confined to what technology is going to bring into your world. I always say, if you're not connected, you may as well be on the moon, because connectivity is how you're going to have to access the resources that you need to survive. COVID showed us one piece of it, but it's evolving more. COVID expedited what we should have been doing all along. So it's no longer a nice to have, it is how you're going to communicate with the world.
Inspire EDU provides free computers as well as training and support to move people from unemployed to employed, something that's hard to do without a computer these days.
Look, they don't give classified ads anymore in the paper. Like, you remember you used to get a paper and you got all these classified ads, you were looking for a job, well, guess what? That's gone. You're not going to get so much of that. You're going to, technology's made it easy to find employment at your fingertips. You can surf around rather than going door to door to try to see if someone has a job available. Now you can kind of surf and see what is available. Even looking at places that you think that you wouldn't have a seat at the table, you can go and see what they may have available and how to get there. That's something that was unclear back in those times, where you had to depend on written papers and things like that.
It's more than about employment. It's also about digital literacy, safety online, education for school children and the community, recycling computers, and diverting electronic waste to the tune of 376,333 pounds in 2025.
So you give people computers. Where do you get them?
So we get those computers from all over, governmental agencies, individuals, companies, folks who are generous. When you get it from all those places, the food bank with the technology version, we have these same individuals that provide technology to us. And what I really love is that we take these devices and what we call giving them a second life. Giving a device a second life and repurposing is no different what they did back in the day. I remember with my brothers, my folks didn't always go buy a new pair of shoes. Oh, bring your feet over here so we can fit you for these shoes over here. You ain't about to get a new pair. These that you're gonna wear is new to you.
Because of what Inspire EDU does, the nonprofit was one of 7 finalists for Kelly Clarkson's The Good Neighbor of the Year Award in 2024. Inspire EDU didn't win, but the recognition meant a lot.
What did that do for you and for the organization?
It amplified our message. You always look for that credibility point as a nonprofit when you get recognized by a national voice to say, hey, look, this nonprofit is doing good work within the community.
The Atlanta Hawks recognized the organization as a community champion, and I helped unveil the new recognition.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And we saw it first.
And there's the gong. When you give $10 for a backpack or donate a backpack, you get to hit the gong.
Yeah, give it a good swing. There you go. There you go. It has been a long journey before gray hair started coming up in the beard, and it was over 10,000 learners we've served as Inspire EDU. That's our charge here, and I'm very proud of the work that we continue to do around recycling, repurposing, and educating.
Here are some of the items I'm donating. If you have backpacks or computers to donate, contact Inspire EDU. Their website is iuatl.org. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll join me every Sunday at 8 on Atlanta News First. Make sure to download the Atlanta News First streaming app where you can watch all episodes of Monica Pearson One-on-One. Good night.